Hey TV fans, Board now back with you. On this video I'm going to be talking about From Season 2 Episode 4. The episode is called This Way's Gone. Full spoilers from the start of this review. And just to start off with saying this is going to be a very short review, and that's because there's almost nothing to talk about in this episode really. Not that it's like a really bad episode or everything, it's just one of those where it feels like it's going through the motions. Not a lot big happens with the characters or the plots outside of the main plot, but even that feels like it's setting it up more for the next episode than it is this one, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's a pretty middling episode, pretty plodding overall, and I think there's just a little bit too much repetition at the moment in this season, because there's certain things where we're doing the same sort of thing that we've already done with characters in the past, and it just feels like it is a little bit rinse and repeat, and not enough different, not enough like interesting, and like the characters do feel a bit filler as well some of the time. So a good example of that really is this character from the New People, the one who was the aggressor and had the confrontation with Donna and pulled the gun on her previously. Well, that situation comes to a head in this episode, but once again, it even though like this character has been like particularly aggressive, and it makes him really hard to really root or care for. So, but like he just gets out of hand again in this episode, and there's certain things with the two sides where like the newbies are starting to like take clothes from people who have died, so from out of their suitcases, which rubs Jimmy up the wrong way at some point. But like Donna finally has had enough of this guy at one point, so she goes all hardball on him. Like she like smashes an axe his way and forces him to get out and forces him to sleep in the bus, and she gives him like the talisman and says hang that outside the window because they're going to be out there all night, and she just puts him in his place. And Donna putting someone like this in his place is always fun to watch, but it just feels like we're again repeating some of the same beats we have, and there's no real reason for us to care about this storyline, I don't think. But that's the stuff, and I think that sums up the episode, where you get a lot of random stuff just going on with characters, so just like character interactions. Because at one point Julie takes an interest in the new guy, Elgin, the guy who was sick on the bus, and she just introduces him, and the vibe is that she might have a bit of a crush on him, but she also agrees to be bridesmaids at Fatima's wedding because she asks her, and that is whatever. I don't care about that stuff, but that's another thing. But there's just a lot of little things like that which don't advance things too much. But the big thing in the episode is that it's focused around Kenny, and through a flashback we see when he was asked to be deputy by Boyd, and we also learn then it was Sarah who's responsible for his father dying, because she's the one who actually opened the door and left it open for the creatures to get in and kill the father. So that's at least something meaty that's revealed. And throughout the episode, Boyd has this secret hanging over him, because Kenny in the previous episode found Sarah and like shows her to Boyd, and Boyd has this dilemma whether to tell him what really happened, because that could stir his it will stir his emotions up even more. And because he's saying to Boyd, naturally, shouldn't she go in the box now that she's back? And Boyd's trying to convince him that no, she's important to us getting out of this. She has special powers. She's got special information. And Boyd's first question to Sarah is what happened out there? Why didn't you follow me into the tree? And she tells him about the boy's voice she heard and the boy directing them into the tree, and that she tried to go in the tree afterwards, but for some reason didn't end up in the same place and ended up back there at the church. And yeah, so she gives this explanation, but Boyd obviously trusts Kenny. Well, Kenny finds her, sorry, but this is now a lot of stakes, a lot of pressure put on Boyd, because Kenny is saying, well, why don't you tell people? Why don't you put her in the box after what she did? And at this point, because Kenny doesn't have the information about what Sarah's involvement in his dad dying, then really at this point there's enough really for him to trust Boyd, but things are going to change later in the episode. And at one point the preacher appears to Boyd and appears to be acting as some sort of conscience, where he's saying, well, what are you going to do when he finds out what Sarah did? And he's like, this vision of the preacher is suggesting to Boyd that no good can come from you telling him. That will make things worse. But Boyd is kind of saying, well, that's not who I am. I'm not going to lie to him. But you can definitely see what the preacher is saying to him has an impact. I'm not so keen on that scene. I can see why they did it, but it's just a little bit cliched having like a religious figure appearing to him like that, and kind of directing him, playing a bit of his conscience against him. But so Boyd is really conflicted in the episode, and in the end it comes out without him doing it, because Sarah actually tells Kenny at the end of the episode, because Kenny is like, well, convince me, give me a good reason why you shouldn't go in the box. And like, he's appealing to her. He's actually on her side at that point. And that's when she comes clean. So that's the end of the episode, with him just blowing up at Boyd. Like, you knew all along she was responsible for my dad dying. You knew it, and you didn't tell me. And he's just pissed. He slams down his badge and basically quits as the deputy sheriff. So he's like, yeah, I'm done. You can watch your own, guard your own village, guard your own church. And yeah, that's the end of the episode. So like, it probably is setting up big things for next time, but it's just, it's a pretty forgettable episode overall, pretty middling overall. I think the actor who plays Kenny does some pretty good acting during the episode, and I personally like Sarah quite a bit as a character, so I'm glad that she's back now and intrigued to see what happens. But this was definitely a weaker episode for me. So that's episode 4 of From Season 2. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. And don't forget, if you're a patron, you can get these From episodes a day early for just $1 a month. So patreon.com/borednow. But thanks for listening. Keep watching TV, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.